All right, hello, welcome. I'm going to go over some questions getting ready for the first semester final here for Algebra 2. I would strongly encourage you to have out a notebook to do these questions with me, or even to pause the video and try them before watching the solutions. I think it's going to be a lot more meaningful if you do that. Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to dive through. Sorry, it's going to be kind of almost random topics because the final has stuff from all the chapters we've covered. So these are going to be kind of random type questions. I want to focus particularly on ones that kids sort of struggled with. So on this first one, we have to write the equation of a line. And I think the first thing is to realize the different forms. So I'm going to throw them up here on the screen. But give me one second. Yes, we got slope-intercept where y is alone, point-slope, which we're going to use here because we know a point. We have a little point from the line, so we can use that as like x little 1, y little 1. So this is going to be like x little 1 and y little 1 in point-slope form. And we can find the slope because we're perpendicular to this. And then the final one is standard form, but the one we're going to use here is point slope. So remember, perpendicular lines look like this. They make a right angle. And if the one has a slope of -1/3, then the perpendicular flips it and changes the sign. So the perpendicular slope, the slope of our line must be 3. Okay, so we know the slope is 3, and we have this particular xy point, so we can just write point slope. So I'm going to write y minus y little 1 equals our slope of 3, and then x minus x little 1. Okay, and minus negative, you normally don't leave it like that. You're going to write it as a plus. Okay, so that's it. And just know that, like, if this is point slope form right here, if we wanted slope intercept, it's pretty easy to convert, right? That's just get y alone. So to get y alone, we need to add 2. We actually need to distribute this first. Okay, and then do the add 2 step. So if we needed it, if it was a multiple choice and we needed it in the y equals form, it's pretty easy to convert to that. Okay, and that blue one there, that's what we call slope intercept form. Okay, next one. So imaginary numbers, we multiply, divide, add, subtract with imaginary. So here's a couple multiply ones. So pause the video and see if you can get these right. All right, so the first one's pretty straightforward. You just multiply -6 times -4, and I times I is I squared. And then remember our definitions. I think this is on your formula sheet for this test, but I is the square root of -1. And so if you square that, then you have I squared, and then the root and the square cancel out. So I squared is -1. So basically, anytime you get I squared in these questions, you just replace it with -1, which means this cleans up to be -24 times -1. Okay, and the second one's just a FOIL, so it's kind of the same thing, just a little more complex. So I'm going to do 5 times 3, 5 times -4i, 2i times 3i, okay, and then 2i times -4i is -8i squared. Okay, and then to clean this up, again, I squared is -1. So in the back there, we're going to have a +8. We're going to have negative times negative. Okay, and then in the middle, you can combine those. -20 plus 6 is like -14i. And then the final step is 15 and 8 are just regular numbers. You can combine them to 23. So we get 23 minus 14i as our final answer there. Sorry for the bad handwriting. Okay, next up, simplify this radical. And again, the idea here is you want to split the radical into like a perfect square and a non-perfect square. So if we did 50, for example, that splits to 25 times 2. Those two numbers multiply to 50. And then the square root of 25 is 5. So this is 5 root 2. So see if you can do the negative root 80. Okay, so here's some of our square numbers. And you basically want to find the highest one that evenly divides 80. Okay, So I think the one that's going to work here is 16. If you start checking, and I would check going this way because you want the highest one. So the highest one that works is 16. So this splits to 16 times 5. And then the negative part is going to make I. Anytime you have a negative root, that's our definition for I. So negative 80 splits to 16 times 5 times negative 1. Okay, and then the square root of 16 is 4. Square root of negative 1 is I. So we have 4i and then a leftover root 5. And the root normally goes on the back. You don't technically have to write it there, but normally they write it on the back. So this cleans up to 4i root 5. Okay, synthetic division is next. Okay, and so see if you remember how to do this process. If it's not a known solution, then you won't necessarily get remainder 0, right? So the remainder 0 is more like when you take it off the graph. Like if you graph the polynomial and you find the solution, right, then it'll give you remainder 0. But it won't necessarily, if it doesn't tell us that there's a solution here. So this one won't necessarily have a remainder of 0. Okay, so with synthetic division, the answer goes in the window. So we have to imagine that we were solving and we had the little factor x minus 3 equals 0. If we were to solve that, we would add 3 to both sides. And we would get an answer of 3. Okay, so like if we solve this one, man, I don't know why my thing's not writing, sorry. Okay, so if we were to solve this, you get x equals 3. So when we synthetic divide, we're going to put in the window that answer of 3. Okay, so we write 3 here, and then we write the coefficients in order, and there's no gaps. It goes 3, 2, 1, 0. So there's no 0 gap like there is sometimes. Let's put the coefficients, and then synthetic division. The process is you drop the initial one, multiply with the window. So 3 times negative 4. Add these. Multiply with the window. 3 times negative 15. Add these together. Multiply with the window. 3 times negative 47. I think it's negative 141. And then add these together one more time. And you get negative 145. And when you're done, this thing on the end is always the remainder. This one's a constant, x1 and x2. So I go right to left there at the end. And if we write all that out, our answer to this is going to be negative 4x squared minus 15x minus 47 with a remainder of negative 145. And the final will be multiple choice, but anyways, that'll look something like that for your answer. Okay, I'm going to skip that one. So let's do solve the system of equations. So this was back in chapter 3. See if you remember how to solve a system. Okay, so when you solve a system of equations, one of the ways you can do it is to get the x's or y's to add up to 0. And it works especially well when they're both in standard form like this and sort of stacked up. So the trick is right now the x's would add to positive 1 and the y's would add to negative 3. So before you add them together, you got to multiply one or both of the equations by a number to get them to add up to 0. So I'll pause the video and see if you can do it from there. Okay, so the trick is if you take this times 2, the x's will add up to 0. So I'm going to take all of this part times 2. So I have negative 2x plus 6y and 8. And then on this one, I'm going to leave it the same. Okay, and this is actually a special case where when you add them together, both the x's and y's disappear. Normally only one will disappear, but here they both do. So you get 0 and 0 equaling 30. Okay, and the key to this is that's a false statement. So since it's false, this system has no solutions. Okay, if you were to graph it, it would actually be parallel lines because they wouldn't cross. Okay, and so the other case is if you get a true statement, like 0 equals 0 or 4 equals 4, that means it's infinite. Okay, so when you solve these systems, there are those special cases, and this one happens to be the no solutions case. Okay, so I'm going to go back here actually and do this one by graphing. So you can use Desmos on this final, which is a huge advantage. So what I would have you do here is try typing this into Desmos and see if you can figure out what the solution is. All right, so maybe pause the video and give this a shot. Okay, here they are in Desmos, and I got to zoom back to see them both a little bit. But this is what we call one solution, and you can actually find the solution by just clicking on it. Literally, that's it, like x1 and y13. So if we go back here, we graphed them, found where they met. You get x1 and y13. And if you're like feeling a little shaky or something, you can verify that they're right. Just put them in, right? -2 times our x value of 1 plus 13. Does that equal 11? So we'd have -2 plus 13. Oh, bam, that is 11. So it works there. And then check the other one here. 1 minus 1 for x, and again 13 for y. And see if that equals -38. So if we put those in, we'd have 1 minus 39, and that is definitely -38. So we know for sure that this is the right answer. Okay, so I don't know. That one's a good one to use. Graph, and a bunch of the questions I'm going to do next here are all like graphing ones. Well, this one says find the vertex and axis of symmetry, but it's still like the vertex is part of the graph. So like on a question like this, I would really, really just strongly encourage you to use Desmos. Okay, so remember vertex is either the top of the hill or the bottom of the valley, and the axis of symmetry is that a line that goes right through it, making the two halves symmetric or equal. Okay, so to find that information, I would again type this into Desmos. So pause the video and then see if you can interpret what you get in Desmos to find the vertex and what is the axis of symmetry. So pause the video, give it a shot. Okay, so here's my Desmos, right? And you can see, you can just click right on it. My vertex is x2, y10. So for our vertex, we're just going to write 2, 10. And the axis of symmetry is just a line right down the middle. So I'll try to draw this here. We were at 2, 10. So it was right there was our vertex from Desmos. And this line right here is the axis of symmetry. And as weird as it seems, that line's an x equals line. So our axis of symmetry is just x equals 2, which you can see on the graph. It's going to hit the x-axis right here at 2, or you can get it right out of the vertex too, right there. So anyways, our axis of symmetry is that equation, x equals 2, which is that vertical line right there. Okay, another graph one. Okay, like, honestly, again, I would just basically use Desmos. This is an inequality, which you can get on Desmos using that keyboard in the bottom left. Okay, and know that, just thinking about this a little bit, this one should be, like in theory, you don't even really need Desmos, but you can use it if you get stuck. But in theory, this is, it's got a little square, so it's going to be the U shape, right? And it's actually going to be an upside down U because it's a negative. And then this is just our transformation stuff. So this one just goes right 3, down 4. So remember the left to right is opposite inside here, and the up or down is there. So we're going to go right 3, down 4. And then again, it's upside down because of the negative. And then, oh, I forgot to say this part. So if it is no equal to, you draw a dashed line or U or whatever, because the points on the line don't count. And if it's a solid one, if it's an equal to underneath there, you draw a solid line because the points on there count. Okay, and then the other piece, and then when you shade, the shading comes from if the mouth is eating Y, that means Y is big, so you shade above on an inequality, and if it's facing away from Y, that means Y is little, so you shade below. So on this particular one, I'm going to draw an upside down U, but it's got to be dashed because there is no equal to in our inequality. And then the mouth is eating Y, so Y is big. So the big Y's are up high, so we shade up here. Okay, and again, I can't stress enough, like, hopefully you know that stuff, but if you don't, just try Desmos. So here's what it looks like in Desmos. You can see dashed and shaded above. We went right 3, down 4. And then again, to get the inequality symbols, you can get them down here. It's this little keyboard in the bottom left. You click that to get it there. So I really want to stress that in any question that involves graphing, Desmos would really be your friend on this. All right, that's all I got. Thank you for watching.